Hey there, so I created a video on PUDO step by step some time ago, a couple of months ago, and just a short time afterwards, PUDO made some updates to how it operates, and so I feel like it's necessary to create an updated video to that because there are definitely some things that have changed, and I think it's worthwhile to just go through what has changed and almost update this video on how you could go ahead with step by step again. And then maybe some issues that you may encounter, some common encountered issues and how you should deal with them. So the main change, and besides from the main change, there's also a new look to the app. So if you open the app right now, this is what what it looks like, the front page on Send. Yeah, so it looks slightly different. The main change is that now you don't need to specify where you're depositing your package. So you don't need to specify the locker that you'll be depositing. You can deposit wherever you want. Okay. So say in the past you had to specify a particular locker that you want to deposit, and it tells you whether there's X number of space for small size, for very small size, medium, large. Now that's scrapped. Okay. Now you just need to specify where the recipient's locker is situated. That's all you need to do. Okay, so it's there's pros and cons to that, because the pro is that now you know what, if you want to deposit, you don't have to stick to a particular locker. You could go to another locker or whatnot. And if that size is not available when you arrive at to deposit the package, PUDO will just upgrade that to a larger size. However, the downside is if the locker is full, then you will have to look for other lockers in your region. So that is the only downside. So even though there's somewhat of a convenience because you could deposit everywhere, but realistically speaking, initially whenever you deposited your package in the past, you would have chosen the PUDO locker that was closest to you. Okay. So this would really impact people who only have one PUDO locker that is close to their location. Because now if you go to your PUDO locker and it's full, then you can't deposit. You have to wait until it's a space is open again. So that is something that's somewhat of an inconvenience, and I'll go through a bit of how you could deal with that to ensure that you don't waste your time, because that does really waste time, especially if you live far from the PUDO locker and you go there and it's full, then you wasted that trip. Okay, but anyways, let's just go through step by step on how you could go about it, and then yeah, we'll touch on those issues. So step one, again, is as always, you must just load your account with some funds. And there's really not much change to that. I mean, if you look at these 4 tabs, it's really similar to the old app. So besides from the UI, there's really not much. And the item I just mentioned. So if you want to load up funds, you have to go to settings, and then you click on funds, and then you click on top up credit. Okay, you can see there I have 136, so I need to top up credit. And then you'll be presented with this screen. You could choose these pre-specified amounts: $200, 500 bucks, 1,000 rands, 5,000 rands, or a custom amount. Okay, so once you've entered the amount, you'll just have to pay. You can pay with credit card, Capitec Pay, and yeah, there's a few other options. Okay, so go. Once you're done with that, you loaded up funds. Step 2 would be to choose the delivery option. Okay, so you have to decide on your drop-off point type. You could either go for locker, which is very common. You could go for a kiosk, or you can go for a door. Okay, so locker is very common. You just have to just look at which PUDO locker is closest to you, and then that's where you would go, locker. And then if your destination is also locker, that would be a locker to locker. But there's other options. There's also locker to door, so you deposit into locker and it goes straight to the recipient's specified address. There's also locker to kiosk, so you deposit in a locker, it gets taken to a kiosk. And there's also kiosk to door. Okay, And if you want to go for the door option, like say for example you don't want to travel, that's also possible. They just collect from your address and they can either put in a locker or a kiosk or even door to door. Obviously, the more convenient the option, generally the more expensive. Locker to locker for me is generally the best one. It's the somewhat of a bit less convenient than the other options, but it's really not really inconvenient. So to me that makes the most sense, locker to locker. So we'll go through an example of locker to locker. Okay, so you would click locker. We're going to go through the example now. And then the second one is I want my package to be received using, and then you have select below. So if you click that, you have three options: locker, kiosk, and door. For this example, it's locker to locker. Okay. As mentioned at the beginning, there's really no need to select a parcel locker. You can now drop off at any of our parcel lockers nationwide. Yeah, so that's the main update. And I said again, there's pros and cons with that, because if the locker is full, basically wasted your time. Okay, so that is step 2. Step 3 is you choose the box size. So in the past, you would have choose the box size at a later stage. So now it's, remember, you don't have to choose your deposit locker location. So step 3 is now choose the box size, and it will present you with the price. Okay, so extra small is $49, small is $59, medium is $69, and then large is $89, extra large is $119. So this is a more detailed cost. So locker option, yeah it is. Good. So $49 for extra small, $59. Always pay close attention to this parcel size, especially the height. Because if you exceed this, you will not be able to fit it in. Okay, but that's really not a train smash, because say for example after you packaged your parcel and you realize that the selected size is too small, you can opt for at that locker place to increase the size. But the downside is you'll pay extra, and sometimes the bigger size is not available. Then you've also wasted your time. Okay. Anyways, we'll touch on that a bit more. Okay, so step 4, you have to enter the senders and recipients detail. Okay, so sender, assuming it's yourself. So if you autofill, it will auto-populate your name and surname and your email. For some reason, I couldn't get the autofill to fill in my mobile number, so you just have to fill that in manually. The numbers now, you don't include the 0 in the front. So if you're 08 number, etc., you just start with 8. Okay. And then, yeah, you specify also the email, and then you select locker drop-off point later. Okay, so after you've completed both the senders and recipients information, the next option is you have to select the receiving locker. Okay, so normally the receiver would send you the PUDO locker name, so you just have to type in the name and it should come up as one of the options. Normally if you just type in one of the keywords, a lot of options will come up and you just double check it. So whenever you choose the particular locker, it will show you the exact address. Send that to the receiver to confirm that that is the right locker. I think that's just generally a good step to take. And then step 6, once you've confirmed the information, it will just ask you, please confirm the information. Because once you click confirm, you will get the Waybill, and it will be difficult to change the details. Not to say that it's impossible, but you just have to call in support. So generally, always confirm your information before you click on the confirm option. Okay. So once you get the Waybill option, and you get a 6-digit deposit PIN. And another update is now you actually have more time to deposit. You would remember in the past you had 36 hours to deposit. Now you have a week to deposit. And if you're late again, yeah, if you will lose the fee and you have to rebook. Okay, so that is, I would say, the 2 main updates. You could deposit now anyway, and then you have a longer time to deposit. Okay, and step 7 is you just package the parcel, ensure that whatever parcel size you've chosen is able to take in that parcel. So generally, I would say it's generally better that you have a idea in mind of how big your parcel is going to be before you choose the size, because it is a bit more difficult to change the size afterwards. Okay, and yeah, just in terms of packaging, I would say try to package them into boxes, because it may be handled roughly, you don't know, during the delivery process. So try to keep small, medium, large boxes, and then buy tape and fragile stickers just to stick on the box to ensure that it's properly packaged. And the fragile sticker is just there to, you know, as a extra layer. Okay, and then you just write the Waybill number and recipient information on the box in case they, you know, mess up the packages, and if it's written on the box, they know where it's going. Or in certain instances, it could be sent to the wrong person, and if the wrong person sees that the recipient is not them, they might actually just reach out to the correct recipient. Okay, and then step 8 is you just go to the locker. I would generally just go to my closest locker location, find the PUDO locker, enter the 6-digit PIN, or you have a QR code. You can also expand the QR code and just scan it. That does the same thing. And then the locker would automatically open. You then place your parcel into the locker and then close the locker. Make sure that when you close it, that there's this click sound, that it's secure. Okay. And then a message will always appear, irrespective of how you place the parcel, asking whether you have deposited the parcel, and it will say that it didn't detect a parcel. So always make sure that you click yes once you have confirmed that your package is deposited into the locker and that it's closed properly. Okay, so make sure you click yes, because that links to the status. Okay, if however you realize that the locker you have is faulty and you can't close the door properly, in that situation you would actually click no. Okay, and it will allow you to have two options, either to switch to a different locker or to switch to a larger size. Okay, so that's just something to keep in mind. Okay, I don't know why I jumped from step 8 to step 10. Anyways, step 10 is just to notify the recipient that you have deposited. You can send through the Waybill information. The recipient would be able to track the Waybill number easily. I think it's just very easy to track. And also from your side, under tracking, you'll be able to see the parcels that you still need to deposit and the status of the ones that you have deposited. So these are common statuses. Customer deposited. So once you've deposited, it almost reflects instantly. So if you just go on the app, it will just show customer deposited. Courier collected is when the courier has collected the package and is now in the delivery process. In locker means that the courier has, managed to move the package from your depositing locker to the recipient's locker. That's when you could either remind the recipient, but the recipients would generally just get the reminder that their parcel has arrived in their locker. Okay, and then customer collected is when obviously the recipient has collected the parcel. So it's really quite simple to track the parcel, and I would say this is probably a very positive side on PUDO's behalf. It really makes tracking easy, especially operating on an app compared to something like Postnet. So there's pros and cons on two, and maybe I'll do another video on comparison of the two. So these are the issues that you encounter, and I've covered these in the past, and there's a new issue as a result of the update, which I'll just cover just now. So issue number 1 is your PUDO locker is offline. Now this can be very frustrating. You imagine you're done with your parcel, and say you have one of several packages that you want to deposit. Now you go to your PUDO locker, and then it's offline. So it could either be load shedding, where the screen is completely empty, that you can't even touch screen, no reaction, or you're unable to deposit. So in those instances, I would say contact PUDO support or via WhatsApp or website chat to change your locker in those instances. Okay, it's usually a long wait and can be frustrating, and there's not really an immediate solution. How you could prevent this is as follows. Before you go and deposit, especially if you have to deposit several parcels, what I would recommend is you contact PUDO support via WhatsApp or website in advance. So factor in 1 hour. So 1 hour before you plan to drive there, just let them know and ask them if your locker location is online at the moment. Okay, so try that out. Then issue number 2 is your parcel is bigger than the locker size. Okay, so this happens when you forgot to measure the dimensions and you chose the wrong size. So obviously you could either go back and change to a smaller parcel size and then come back again, but that just wastes your time, right? Or if you don't want to do that, there's an option at the PUDO locker is when it asks you the question that you deposit your parcel, you click no, and then it gives you the option to switch to a bigger locker. Okay, obviously there's a higher cost, but I would say that's probably better than wasting petrol to go back, change the parcel size, and then come back. Okay, number 3 is you enter your 6-digit PIN and there's a parcel inside it. So this can happen to you, and then you may be very confused. In these instances, you could close the locker door and there should be a message asking whether you have deposited your package. You just choose no, and it should allow you to switch to a different locker if there's availability. And then you just contact WhatsApp and website support afterwards. Let them know that there's a system mix-up, whatnot on it, and just to make them aware. And normally, once that is done, the person who's supposed to receive that parcel would receive it. Normally this happens after hours. Okay. Now, this is the new issue where you go to your locker and there's no space. It can be very frustrating whether you have one parcel to deposit or you have several, and the closest PUDO locker to you has been a very long drive. Okay. Now, I mentioned before, the new system is you could deposit in any locker. Okay, so it's not as big of a problem if you have another PUDO locker close to you. So you can just go there and try your luck. Okay, but if there's only one that's close to you and the others are like really far away, I would say tell us a few tips. First one is try to not deposit early morning on Mondays or late afternoons on Fridays, because PUDO doesn't deliver during weekends. Okay, so generally those 2 times there's a higher chance of the lockers being full. Okay, so before you leave to deposit your packages, just factor in 1 hour. Just contact PUDO support and ask them about the availability of lockers in that locker location that you plan to go. And they generally send you an image of how many small sizes available, how many extra small, how many medium, how many large are available. And then once you know that you are able to finish all your depositing tasks in one go, then you could drive to PUDO. And yeah, I think that just solves a lot of issues. Other than that, I would say PUDO works quite well. And so final score is 3 out of 5. It used to be 3.5, but I think this new update didn't really help much with my situation. Because for me, I always go to one PUDO locker that's close to me. Others are quite far away. And yeah, it just works better for me on the old system. The depositing time of 1 week can benefit quite a few people, but for me, I suppose that is a bit more convenient. But generally, when I book it, I generally have a plan to deposit within the next day, so this doesn't really impact me. Okay, hope that helps. Catch you next one.